Good evening, folks. If you could please find your seat, we'd like to get this show on the road. Today it is my pleasure to introduce a very important person, but somebody that also highlights the importance of public, fair, and good media in the times that we live in. Today we are introducing a trailblazing journalist and a distinguished member of the Inter-American Dialogue, Amna Nawaz. Amna is the co-anchor and co-managing editor of PBS NewsHour, where she brings insightful reporting on everything from global issues such as migration, refugees, to gun violence in the United States. Her remarkable career spans 2 decades, covering some of the most consequential global and domestic events, including the war in Afghanistan, the September 11th attacks, and the US elections of President Obama, Trump, and Biden. Before PBS NewsHour, Amna served as an anchor and correspondent for ABC News, and as a foreign correspondent and bureau chief at NBC News, where she was the first foreign journalist granted access to North Waziristan. A respected interviewer, she has engaged with numerous heads of state and international leaders, as well as a wide range of US officials and cultural figures. Her outstanding work has been recognized with 4 Peabody Awards as part of the NewsHour team. In 2019, she made history, being the first Asian American and the first Muslim American to moderate a US presidential debate. As a first-generation American who joined the dialogue in 2020, Amna embodies the deep commitment to global understanding and dialogue. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to our leader of ceremony, Amna Nawaz.
Jaime, thank you so very much for that very warm welcome. Good evening, everyone. How are we doing tonight? Yes. Welcome, all of you, to the Inter-American Dialogue's Leadership for the Americas Awards Gala. It is such a pleasure and honor, and let me say a real joy after the last few days I've had to be with you tonight. Thank you for having me. To our friends, to our members, to our dedicated partners, and of course, all of our many esteemed guests, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here to celebrate and to honor the extraordinary leaders who've been instrumental in shaping the Western Hemisphere. Now, as Jaime mentioned, I've been a proud member of the Inter-American Dialogue since 2020 and a partner in its esteemed mission. Over the course of my career, as he also mentioned, I have covered a host of the issues that define this dynamic and crucial relationship between the US and its neighbors, with a focus on what foreign policy actually looks like when it hits the ground in people's homes and in their communities and in their lives. 15 years ago, I was on the ground to cover the devastating earthquake in Haiti. Since then, I've covered the long tail of recovery and instability there. I have walked and I have waded and I have boated across the same trails that millions of people seeking safety and stability have traveled and continue to travel today. And I've spoken with officials and thought leaders in local communities and journalism and academia and at the highest levels of elected office in a number of nations, from Mexico to Brazil to Venezuela to Colombia and beyond. What is clear to me in all of the work that I've done is how deeply intertwined all of our lives are and how interdependent our futures will be. Now, as you all know, 2025 is a pivotal moment for the Americas, from the pursuit of democratic stability to the drive for economic security. The challenges that we face require more than just dialogue. They require bold, courageous, and collaborative leadership. Now, for those of you who may follow me on Instagram, you may see that from time to time I like to share a little bit of poetry, put something good out into the world, some words or lines that inspire me or move me or just give me a moment to reflect in the craziness and chaos of the days. So indulge me for a moment, if you will, as I share a few lines of something that struck me recently. The times that we're in right now led me to the words of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow and his poem, The Ladder of St. Augustine. He writes these lines: The heights by great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward in the night. We are here tonight to celebrate all of those who toil upward in the night, the leaders who've demonstrated commitment to the region and who are leading with vision and action to drive real, meaningful progress across borders. Please join me in celebrating those leaders tonight. Now, as you all know, an event of this magnitude and the vital work that it supports, it would not be possible without the profound commitment of our partners. To our generous sponsors, thank you. Your partnership is not just a donation, it's an investment, a clear investment in a more democratic, equitable, and prosperous future for the Americas. To all of our sponsors and donors here this evening, you are a part of every success that we celebrate tonight, and we thank you as well. So, what's in store tonight, you may be asking? Well, you're going to hear some incredibly inspiring stories. We're all going to share a wonderful meal together, and we're going to have the distinct honor of presenting the Leadership for the Americas Award, recognizing the kind of leadership that serves as a blueprint for the entire region. That is coming up shortly. But first, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the President and CEO of the Inter-American Dialogue, whose vision and distinguished career and vast experience across the hemisphere in senior-level government positions and in academia have been key to advancing the dialogue's goals of fostering democratic future for the region. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the President and CEO of the Inter-American Dialogue, Rebecca Bill Chavez.
Good evening. It is such a joy to be here with all of you and to see this room filled with friends and with partners from across the hemisphere. 10 years ago, the Dialogue launched this gala to celebrate leadership that unites and inspires. Tonight, that spirit feels more important than ever. We all know that these are complex times for the Americas. Polarization, insecurity, and inequality are testing democracies and also our shared sense of purpose. But that's exactly why the Inter-American Dialogue exists, to remind us that lasting progress depends on cooperation and, as Amna said, bold action. For more than 4 decades, the Dialogue has built that collaboration, connecting leaders across sectors, borders, and importantly, across perspectives. And this year, we've taken this work to new heights. We launched a Mexico program under the leadership of the remarkable, I'm looking for the Lila, under the leadership of the remarkable Lila Aved, to deepen engagement with one of the region's most pivotal countries. Our Brazil program, under Bruna Santos' leadership, is shaping the debate on the energy transition, digital transformation, democratic governance, and also on US-Brazil relations. We launched a citizen security initiative, a platform that brings together leaders from across the region to strengthen democratic security strategies. And the Abe Lowenthal Fellowships, supporting outstanding scholars and policymakers from across the Americas. And as a hemispheric organization, we're so excited because this will enable these scholars to spend time at the Dialogue, conducting research and engaging with US and regional experts. And Abe Lowenthal is here tonight, so Abe, we thank you for putting your faith in us. So yes, this is a moment of challenge, but it's also a moment of real momentum. Tonight, we honor the people who remind us how leadership and partnership make that momentum possible. Monica Aspe, for her extraordinary work, expanding digital access and empowering women in technology. Ambassador Carla Hills and Thomas McClarty, Two truly visionary leaders whose influence can be felt across decades of inter-American cooperation. And this is the first time the dialogue has chosen to honor what we're calling our enduring voices. They've not only shaped our organization, having served at the helm of it, but also the way the hemisphere itself engages. Carla and Mac were central to the creation of NAFTA, one of the most consequential achievements of regional collaboration in modern history. And we're also joined by Pedro Aspe, who was very critical in that moment. Carla and Mac understood that the prosperity and stability of the United States, Mexico, and Canada are deeply connected, that North America's strength comes from partnership and also from interdependence. So tonight we celebrate not just individual achievement, but a shared belief that dialogue matters, that cooperation is possible, and that together we can build a more peaceful, democratic, and prosperous hemisphere. So thank you for being part of this journey and for keeping the dialogue vibrant, relevant, and forward-looking. Enjoy the evening. And I just wanted to mention, Amna, just yesterday, Amna and the PBS NewsHour team won the Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism. And now it is my great honor to turn the floor over to Secretary General of the OAS, Albert Ramdin, the first Caribbean national to lead the Organization of American States. His election really marked a historic moment for our region and stood as a testimony for his lifelong commitment to cooperation and collaboration across the Americas. The dialogue greatly appreciates you and for hosting this event at this beautiful room at the OAS.
Thank you very much, Rebecca, and good evening to all. I see so many friends, prominent diplomats, figures related to the inter-American system. I'm very happy that the Inter-American Dialogues decided to host this event, to organize this event in this one of the most beautiful venues in Washington, D.C. I'm not saying that too loud, but you're always welcome. I do wish to recognize some of our colleagues here. Senator Dodd, happy to see you again. Somehow I and this building cannot forget Peter Hakim. So thank you very much for being present. And Michael Jensen, who sits next to me, representing the government of the United States. Thank you. And I'm leaving the rest because with most of you I spoke already. So thank you very much, all friends, to be here. It's great to have you. And it's great that I can join you today as Secretary General of the Organization of American States, which, in my view, and I'm a firm believer of inter-Americanism and multilateralism, is the cornerstone in the Americas of multilateralism and democratic cooperation in our Americas. We should never forget that. The OAS is the premier intergovernmental entity to bring countries together, to solve problems, to work together, and to make this hemisphere much better. So let me begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to Rebecca, Bill Chavez, President of the Inter-American Development Dialogue, the Inter-American Development Bank, that will come, but the Inter-American Dialogue for now. Rebecca, your leadership, as we have been experiencing that, continues to elevate the dialogue as a space for meaningful exchange and bold ideas. Thank you very much for your vision and commitment to the Americas. And in an interview which I was asked to do earlier on, your colleagues asked me what is the value of the Inter-American dialogue. And my closing sentence was, and I'm sure you're going to quote that because it helps you, I said, the relationship between the Inter-American dialogue and the Organization of American States for many decades has been so strong and relevant that I consider the Inter-American dialogue as part of the Inter-American system. That's not an official title, because I'm not allowed to do that, but in practice, that is what has happened. I also warmly acknowledge the presence of Ambassador Callahills and Thomas McClarty, whose legacy in advancing hemispheric trade and diplomacy particularly has played a pivotal role in successful negotiations, as Rebecca mentioned, on the North American Free Trade Agreement. I think that's important. And in today's world, the private sector, in my leadership, will play a critical role in advancing prosperity in the Americas. We need to bring the private sector of the Americas together, invest more within the Americas, trade more with each other. We are not doing well in that regard. But when I close my chapter here, I want to see that increase. It's only 15% right now. It must increase. And that will create wealth, that will create jobs, that will create income, that will create security, strengthen democracy, fight organized crime, mitigate migration. We all will benefit from it. Private sector has to be part of the paradigm of creating a better Americas. I did not acknowledge Ambassador Thomas Shannon, who is right next to the honoree, whose leadership and service to the Americas has been phenomenal. Thank you very much. We have worked together in the OAS when you were at the State Department, and still you're contributing to the Americas. Thank you very much. Although mentioned already, but Monica Aspie, CEO of AT&T Mexico, congratulations on this honor which is going to be bestowed on you. Your leadership is a testament, in our view, not only for women, but it's the power of perseverance and strategic clarity. We spoke a little bit earlier how Mexico is doing, but I think it's important that we recognize the qualities of leaders, that even if you have issues, even if everything is not going well, you find the solutions and continue, persevere. And that is what you have demonstrated and for which you are being honored. So thank you very much. And you know, I want to take this quality of perseverance and finding solutions, not staying with problems, but looking for opportunities. I want to take it to a higher level of the Inter-American system, our own hemisphere. The ability to adapt, to learn, and to persist is exactly what we need to confront our challenges today in this hemisphere. And Rebecca said it, polarization, a very diverse, if we want to use a neutral term, a very diverse, challenging environment in the Western Hemisphere. Currently, we have not experienced this ever before. I've been involved with the OAS for 25 years. This is a time when unity is so critically important and which is lacking currently. So I hope that those who can provide that unity also listen to what is being said today. So, you know, we need to do a lot of things. This hemisphere has to catch up on what we do now in terms of building unity, creating a better economic environment, but also on the cutting edge side of technology. The challenges which we will face as a hemisphere, which the globe will face in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of data analysis, data-driven decision-making, AI. We need to not wait until others are delivering those services. We need to creatively create those solutions and sell them outside. For too long, the hemisphere has been dependent on what happens outside the hemisphere and not what we are creating. This is a task for the membership. not only of governments, but of the private sector. I have promised, and we have delivered on that already, of working with the Latin American private sector and the US-based North American private sector. Together with Lee Lipton and Leandro Risuto, the new representatives to the OAS, we are working in mobilizing that effort. That is the only way to create sustained economic prosperity. That's the only way to deliver on what the people of the Americas expect: social and economic values and a secure life for the future. Nothing else. So I hope we all understand that we have a lot of work to do. Today is not specifically maybe the time to talk about it, but it's good to relay that to you. We have lots of geopolitical issues in the world. I have made it known the OAS is not going to be part of that geopolitical discussion. We don't want to be part of that. Let that be at the global level. We're going to monitor that, but we're not going to be part of it. And that's a choice we make simply because otherwise we will not be able to find solutions. And we want solutions in the hemisphere. Well, so let me go back to the Inter-American dialogue. I think your role, together with other think tanks, is so critically important to make sure that what we do not discuss or what we need to be challenged on comes to the table. And we had several discussions at the dialogue. I'm always available to come and talk and dialogue, be challenged as well, and make sure that we hit the right tone in the discourse on making the Americas better, whether it's positive or negative. And let's be frank and open about it. So we must work for the people. Democracy must work for the people. And in a way, I feel that what the Americas needs is simply a little bit of simplicity in how we govern countries. The people do not want anything else than a job, a steady income, a secure environment, and a future for the children. Nothing else. If political leaders would understand that and stop arguing with each other, then we can get a long way. And we can do things for the Americas and make this hemisphere prosperous, strong, stable, an example to the world. So all I say is the Americas needs a bright and promising sunrise. A new day, a new direction, one of unity, one of peace, one of prosperity. And if we can do and achieve that, I'm sure that we all will have wonderful, wonderful days ahead, and possibly also next year, the same event here at the OAS. Thank you very much. Wish you all a great evening.
Secretary General Ramdin, thank you so much for those inspiring words calling for greater unity, greater collaboration for shared prosperity. And what I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like an open invitation to host all of our gatherings here at the building, which is great because my youngest turns 10 this weekend, and we can just shift that from Dave and Buster's here if that's available. We can talk afterwards. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm the only thing standing between you and a wonderful meal and great company at your table, but indulge me for a moment. A few quick words I want to share about the beautiful artwork you may have admired on display here in the Hall of Americas. The artwork featured here this evening is part of the collection of the Art Museum of the Americas here at the OAS. The collection in its entirety holds more than 2,000 works reflecting the richness and the diversity of the region's artists. This evening, we are featuring works by a number of artists, including Amelia Palaez from Cuba, Oswaldo Guayasamín from Ecuador, Maria Bonomi from Brazil, Beatrix Brecino from Panama, Aida Carballo from Argentina, and Rodolfo Abularach from Guatemala. These works stand among the most outstanding pieces of artists in the OAS's art collection, so please take your time, peruse, and enjoy. And before we begin our meal tonight, I would encourage everyone, if you can, just scan the QR code on your table. You can learn more about the dialogue and how to support our vital work. Now, please enjoy your dinner, enjoy your companions, and your time together. We'll resume the program in just a few moments. Thank you.